Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is August the 11th, 2024, and it's my 22nd day of going without food, and it just seems to get slightly easier as the days go on. Not that it's difficult. Once you get over the initial shock of not having food in your stomach, it's something that subsides maybe 3 days in, especially if you're doing it by choice. Now, I want to emphasize that what I'm doing is for a specific intent, for a multitude of intents, really. And so my intense experience will be different from anyone else's experience who decides to take on this level of self-reflection. So, as I say that, I'm passing actually a beer can that was on the side of the road. So basically, the self-reflection aspect is one of the things that many of us don't really fully do. Like, we might think that we're paying attention to our inner thoughts, and on another hand, our inner thoughts might be guiding everything that we do. Like, especially if it's a routine, like waking up and going, I've got to have my coffee in order to start thinking, or I've got to have my breakfast in order to do this. A lot of times, a lot of those things are just justifying other things, like I've got to have breakfast because I've got to take my medications. Does this ring a bell for anyone out there? If you're having to do things routinely that are prescribed to you that you didn't actually want to get up and do first thing in the morning because it brought you joy, that might be the problem to begin with. So anyway, I'm driving all these miles in this park while I'm doing this thing where I'm focusing 100% on my task at hand. And my task is to show you wildlife, and also to somehow transfer to you the notion that there's a lot less wildlife than before. All these miles that I've driven, I've barely hit any insects. I've seen 3 deer and maybe 4 bighorn sheep, a few squirrels, but not enough to the point where it's like, hey, there's another roadkill, or there's this kind of animal roadkill, or there's that kind of animal roadkill. There's a lot of nothing in terms of wildlife. And that should be alarming for most of us. But for many of us, we're so entertained with so many other things, and we go to the market, and everything we need is in the market. And so it's business as usual, going to get some more prescriptions and, pass on the day. What are we passing on to our next generations? We're passing on the opportunity to have had a relationship with them by hanging out with them. That's what I think. That's just how I feel, especially after having thought about this for that many days. There's a cowboy boot on that driveway. Someone's boot fell out of their car. There's so many different things I've seen. What was the weirdest one? Jacket. I've seen a jacket. There was something super weird. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The whole point is I've seen so many different things that are not wildlife, and I've seen 3 deer, and I drove all the way to Canada. And I've been doing this at different hours, with different intervals, stopping in places, going into places that should have wildlife, looking for signs, scat, anything. There's a whole lot less. And if you're not paying attention, you wouldn't know the difference anyway if you weren't paying attention way back when. Even just 4 years ago, when there was stuff on the road to indicate, hey, we have a healthy ecosystem. It's a little bit unhealthy right now. So part of the reason I'm going without food is because I think that our wild areas are in jeopardy. I want to raise a little bit of awareness for that, but I really don't know how else to do it. So if you have any better ideas, I hope that you share that information in the comments, share these discussions with one another. And while I'm at it, as these bikes are passing by, maybe we need to enact new regulations, like don't drive super loud vehicles into a national park, into a wilderness area where we're trying to encourage a healthy ecosystem. Because I can tell you what, I've only heard owls 3 nights in all of this time frame that I've been here in this heavily wooded forest. And to only hear owls 3 nights, in some cases it might be the super loud vehicles that are driving these animals out of the campgrounds, but in other cases, these animals that are nocturnal travel. Owls fly around. And when they're traveling through the woods by the campgrounds overnight at any hour, I should be able to hear them, just like the coyotes, just like any animal that we are maybe not hearing as often now. We might not be paying attention if we're playing our Bluetooth speakers, listening to music, carrying on, inebriated. We might not notice. So that's a little bit of information on the topic of sobriety today. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.